the business as like full time, and it kind of gave me an idea of like how successful the business was going to be and whether I wanted to do it like for another year. And statistically, like businesses within the 2 year mark tend to fail because a lot of people want to see a high return on their investment, but that's usually not the case, right? Because people are still kind of learning about the product or services that you're offering. They're still building that trust, right? And they want to see you be part of the community that you are essentially trying to get business from. And so last year's summer market, it was just myself doing it, and I was doing it 5 days a week, and definitely not a spring chicken anymore. My body was like, no. And I knew that I could sell more, but I couldn't make more because my body was just tired. I was just really tired. And then I was just, liquid is really heavy to like move around. So
yeah. Show them.
I mean, I don't really have big ones, but
They can lift.
yeah, I mean, I definitely was in the gym for years, and so I learned proper lifting techniques and stuff like that. But I have no shame in my game. I will tap anyone and everyone who is near for some help because it's just heavy, And so my hands got really tired because you're constantly like cutting.
Yes.
And then, bottling and everything is there's small batches, handcrafted. And so my body was like, no. Yeah. And so this year I really want to test it to see like the growth, right? To see how much growth it's gonna have this summer. It's a really interesting year for the US because of our political climate, right? And then
what are you talking about? Edith is Copa Fruits. And Edith, what inspired you to start Copa Fruits?
So I've had this business idea in my heart for many years. I actually just wanted to do like a fruit stand, kind of like what they have in LA. But for some reason, my hands just started going towards cold pressed juice, if that makes sense. It was just like, order a juicer, order this. And I was like, what am I doing? What's going on? So I want to say that I was divinely guided into that area. And so I just kind of went with it. But really, I grew up eating super like fresh and healthy. My parents weren't really affectionate, but their love language was feeding us. And so it was like, oh, you're home, here's a bowl of fruit, or here's a bowl of whatever. And so fruits was always present in my life since we were little. So
is that your secret? Is that your secret to glowing skin?
Yes.
To your fountain of youth?
Yes, really, it really is like you're getting a ton of vitamins, you're staying hydrated because the fruits are packed with tons of water. There's natural electrolytes that are occurring in the fruits, packed with tons of vitamins, so you don't have to take pills. So yeah, I mean, and you get to try, at least for me, I love exploring different fruits from different parts of the world because I want to taste what the world is, that part of the world is, enjoying on a daily. So yeah, so it was just part of like, it's definitely part of my DNA growing up. Wherever I went, I have a vivid memory of going to my parents' hometown in Mexico, and they just kind of let me do my thing. And in Mexico, there's really not a lot of fences because people just kind of know who you are. But if they do have like a fence, it's usually like a stone wall. And I remember smelling guavas. Like I'm a fruit fly. I smelled guavas, and I just followed my nose to somebody's tall. I mean, mind you, I was like, I don't know, 7 years old, and it's this giant stone wall, and I climbed it like a little rock climber. And it looked like a little orchard of guavas. And I was not neighborly. I jumped over that and I ate as much guava as I could. And then I heard the owners come home and I jumped that fence. But I felt like I was Winnie the Pooh with his big old belly, just like, oh, life is so good. And
So
I never
cute.
told my parents until I was much older, and my dad was like, "Oh, they knew you were there," and I was like,
They allowed you.
they allowed you. So yeah, I am definitely a little fruit fly. I love fruit, but yeah, that's kind of like I wanted to share that experience with people, like going to school in the US. Like I was surrounded by orchards. I grew up around pears, apples, cherries, apricots, peaches, plums, wild berries, blackberries, strawberries. My dad grew his own produce. So definitely fresh. And I remember like we would have to walk like a quarter of a mile to get to our bus stop. And I mean, just rows of like apple trees. And I would grab these delicious, I think they're called the Golden Delicious. Like they're just crispy, delicious. They're one of my favorite apples. And so I would grab a couple. I'd be like, one for the bus driver, one for my friend, one for my teacher.
She's
one
still
for
stealing
myself.
fruit. She's still stealing fruit.
I love it.
Now, Edith, tell the truth. Do you pay for the fruit in your copa?
Well, sometimes. Sometimes, but I don't steal it. It's gifted to me.
I think you need a new logo with like Edith the Bandit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. The bandit just stealing. That's your logo.
The little raccoon.
That would be so cute.
Yeah,
that
no,
so
actually,
cute.
it's been really fun, like building these relationships with farmers. I always advocate for them to give me, charge me the full price, but they have just these big old hearts that they're like, it's fine. We're going to toss this out. So might as well you take it. Or this is our, batch that we didn't sell at this farmer's market and it's 2 days out. So it's, either you take it or we're going to have to toss it out anyway. So I get the homie discount.
Can I get the homie gets a homie discount?
I know. It's not all the time though. I wish it was, but I love supporting the farmers because they are probably the hardest working group of people, and they definitely deserve the pay for what they're selling. Because I mean, they're up at the crack of dawn, they're tilling the earth, they're making sure if it's organic that it follows a certain procedure, and so that means like either setting up netting so that birds and bugs don't get on it. So it's just a lot. And they, at least the conversations, even as a kid, surrounded by these orchards, they're always stressed out. It's just like, oh my God, it's going to be below a certain degree. We have to like put on like, I don't know if you've ever driven by an orchard and they have like these almost like portable fire pits.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. So like
what's that?
For certain orchards, if it gets below a certain temperature, when the trees are the flowers are budding, they have to make sure that the cold doesn't kill or shock the flower buds.
Wow.
And so they put out these portable like heaters, but they're fire pits. And so like they line them up, in the whole orchard. So I mean, if one of those were to get knocked down, it probably would cause a problem. But yeah, it was really cool, like growing up and seeing what farmers do to like help mitigate, cold temperatures. Really, if it rains, like you think, oh, rain isn't going to harm anything. But, if the cherries are already ripe and it rains, it'll oversaturate the cherries with water and then it'll split. And so then and then people don't like eating things that are ugly. So they have to take them out. So
that part.
Yeah, and so they lose a portion of their crop. But so yeah.
So that's when you like come in.
I have a story. So my parents were farmers. That's how they met, cutting asparagus in Puyallup. And so I was like, a teenager, and I was like, I want to be like my mom and my dad. And so I was looking for a job, found a summer job in Fife. And we were picking raspberries. And out of or September, I don't even remember, but there were raspberries.
Yeah.
And man, I only lasted one day.
Yeah, that's hard work.
Like I think I got paid $20 for one day. First of all, it was slow. and like you were saying right now, it's like they're very specific. I'm like, ooh, I was picking the ones that I would eat, which are like the very fluffy ones, but apparently they can't be that fluffy. So anyways, I got fired.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work. I mean, when I grew up picking agriculture.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was always like there were points when I was little that I'm like, oh, I hate cherries so much. You know, I would squeeze them and I'm like,
You're like,
"Duh,
the split
cherry."
again, Cherry.
But it is a skill that these farmers have, right? When
Yeah.
they're picking apples, they have to put it in gently, but they have to do it fast because
Mm.
they're getting so some farmers pay by the weight. Some farmers pay by the number of boxes they can fill, and usually
Wow.
they're like 4x4. And so, and so they're 4x4, right? So they're a square, but then they're like, I don't know, another 4 feet tall. So you have to fill that bin with apples,
Wow.
and you have to make sure that the apples are um they're not getting scratched, they're not getting bruised, so they're trying to maintain the aesthetics of the apple. And at least when I remember, it was like my parents were getting paid, it was like $50 a bin. And so that's insane how much work farm workers
Wow.
are doing. And then also just like the farmers and also, so it's just a lot. It's a lot, but it's really hard labor. You're up at the crack of dawn because you want to avoid being out of the sun before it gets really hot. And
Sure.
yeah, so
I know. No.
it's hard work. I
It's
did that
hard
my
work.
whole, like, as a little kid up until like high school, and then that was my driving force to like go to, get higher education, go to college, doing all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Live the corporate life.
live the corporate life.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to
Mm.
breaking my back. So there's full circle moment for you.
Break your mama's back to everybody. Yeah, what's that? What song am I thinking of? Break your mama. Nelly Furtado. Break your mama's back. So this is really interesting. I want to ask about like yes, this is a part, like it's literally part of your DNA, by the way. Like you're around it, you're totally submerged in this culture of agriculture culture. And then you went into the corporate life. You like did all the things, you checked all the boxes. I find this really interesting. And then at some point, what shifted for you? Like what called you back?
Yes. So corporate world was really nice. What is it? I stopped working and I departed from the corporate world in 2024. And before then, it was just like, I am definitely notoriously the employee, corporate companies. I'm from the younger generation, right? Where they did not want. So before me, it was like employees who have been with the company for 10, 15, 20 years, and they've done the same thing over. And I quickly learned in the corporate world that it didn't benefit anyone but the company. To stay for so long, but it benefited the individual, right? So you learn a skill set, you learn new software, right? Because some corporate businesses have the resources to invest in applications and softwares that can help expedite the workload or streamline. But when you leave with that knowledge, you're able to negotiate a higher pay. So every time I left, it was just climbing up the corporate ladder. And I got to the point where I became a marketing manager. And not to toot my own horn, but my work was badass.
Toot it.
Like,
Toot
yeah,
it. Toot it.
my work was badass. Like I came in, I am the Marie Kondo of Latinas. Like if I go into someone's hard drive and it is messy, I will organize it. I will archive things. I would be like, do we need this? Are people utilizing this tool?
Edith, do you ask them if it sparks joy?
No.
That's the Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
Does it spark joy?
Does it spark joy? So in a nutshell, I worked in construction for about 10 to 12 years. So it's male dominated. And I also quickly learned that it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission in the male dominated world. So I would go in there and just like move things around, and then IT would get like involved, and I'm like, but did anyone die? And they're like, well, actually you helped, and you're saving us, $600 this month because you canceled these subscriptions. I'm like, you're right, you're welcome, now give me that bonus. But it just I got into this manager role in construction, and this last job that I was in, and not to say that all places are like this, but the work environment was not a healthy space for me. I had asked, so part of my role was creating like these very elaborate company resumes that included like about the company, the team, projects. And so we're submitting these resumes to these like big contracts, whether it's government or local, and they're like worth $1 million for a project, right? So spelling, visual, just cohesiveness needs to be on point. But it was just me and this other woman kind of managing this. And so for two people, for a company, that's a lot of work. And so we were just like, back to back on these projects. We were getting burnt out. I was asking for help, whether it was like through contract work or temp staffing or an intern or just anything. And the leadership just refused to provide that help. And so it just became this burnt out where I'm like, yes, I'm making good money, but now I don't even have time to enjoy that money because like I'm staying up late. I don't have time to make it to the doctors because of just the workload, right?
Wow.
So it was just it just was too demanding on my body. I was struggling with anxiety and stress. In addition to the work being a heavy workload, the work culture was really toxic. And I'm not the type of person to like tiptoe or like sugarcoat things. I will call you out if I feel there's like something directed to me, but it's like passive. And that's another thing with Seattle. I'm like, stop being passive. Like, just say what you got to say,
Okay, can you just dive into that a little bit?
Yes, let's do it.
Because I've heard this because I've been living vicariously through TikTok since I'm home recovering, and I'm a stay-at-home mom now. So TikTok is my tunnel to the outside world.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot from the youth, is that Seattle is really passive. And I've never worked in Seattle corporate specifically. So could you tell us like what that's like what that passiveness looks like, how that, and what does that make you feel, and how does that make you feel? My door just opened. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah. Ooh, ghost in the house.
It is an old house, guys. But yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the passiveness was we express ourselves with micro expressions, whether we know it or not, right? I have bangs because my eyebrows will tell you what I'm thinking before my mouth does. And so I have these bangs. Yes, so that you don't see my eyebrows, because my eyebrows will go like, oh my God, they're throwing gang signs before I'm even saying anything. But people,
this girl right, she's like,
we are, yeah, but we are notorious. Our body language just happens, right? We're not. It's what is it? Subconsciously, we're just doing it.
Very expressive.
Yeah, we're just expressive. Whether it's like how you're standing, the way you purse your lips, or the way your face frowns, or whatever, right? And so I would see a lot of that, and so I would call it out. I'm like, I can see you're thinking something. What is it, right? And they're like, oh, nothing, blah, blah. And so it was just always like, it's nothing, right? And I'm an adult, you're an adult. If you tell me there's nothing wrong, I'm going to believe you and keep going. Yeah. But if you keep doing that, then I'm going to ask you again, like, hey, I asked you, you didn't say anything, but now I'm going to like ask you again. Otherwise, like, let go of this.
So this is different than like passive aggressive. This is blatant passiveness that you experience.
Passive aggressiveness, or they'll make a comment and and they'll make it a joke, and you're just like,
The
what is
mean
going on
girls thing.
here? Yes, right. And so that was a big thing in my last job. It was just a lot of mean girl behavior. And
Yeah.
for me, I'm a girl's girl. Like, I love cheering women on. I think women should be successful. The patriarchy has held us down for so long. And so when I see women succeeding, whether it's in the same industry, the same demographic, I don't care. Like, I want them to win. And I'll do whatever I can, whether it's like sharing their business or whatever, speaking about their business. I want them to win because I'm like, it takes a lot of work as women. And not only that, women are just freaking incredible. Like, they're
Mhm.
smart, they're organized, they nurture, they think ahead. They're just incredible. Like, when I see a task and I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be hard. And I see a man doing it, I'm like, I can do it. And I can do it 10 times better. Yes, men have strength, but women are just really freaking creative and they're
Yeah.
really smart. So we might not have the physical strength, but we might, you know, create a pulley out of bed sheets to move a couch, right? And it's like, I didn't
I
need
think
a
I've
man.
done that. I think I've done that with
Yeah. So we'll figure out a way, and then we also, like, I think women are just powerful because we have
Mhm.
community, right? We might not be able to do it by ourselves. And some women do, including myself, we'll try to do it by ourselves, but then we realize, like, we can't. We need a community. We've always needed a community since we were little.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, that culture in the last job I was at, it was definitely mean girls, passive
Mm.
aggressiveness. Construction is a lot of, like, I hate saying this, but it's true. It's a lot of frat boys that are just like
Bro
title and
culture.
yeah, and you're just like, this is you're like 40, bro. Like, just stop talking like that. You can't get any cooler. Like, let go of that high school dream. Like, this is who you are now. It's like
I
they
was
kind of
sitting in the airport this morning. So I'm here in Delaware now, visiting my family, and it was like 6:30 in the morning. I had to wait for my sister to get off of her night job as a nurse's assistant to come pick me up. So DJ, my son, and I were having breakfast, and then there's these two guys, and it was just he was just loud, unapologetic, just taking up space, throwing out curse words. Now I'm not one to be like, DJ, cover your ears, but so it wasn't that the curse words were bothering me. It wasn't even the loudness that was bothering me. It was the whole, like, Susie and I talk about this, like the bro culture, where he's just sounds like a high school kid talking about a job that are you complaining, like, that you get to travel for your job and that you get to do this? And I think women at the core of it, we tend to sit with more gratitude um, than our male counterparts. I think men are made to dominate and just like take up space and say their thing and like don't care really what's happening, like to anyone else, but like just get their tail covered. Where women, I think, tend to. But I want to talk about the mean girls too, just going back on that, because that is something Susie and we haven't really talked about that on this podcast. Is we talk about women being really nurturing and all the wonderful things you're saying, but there is this mean girls thing that I've experienced in my life. What do you think that's about? We're women, we're all these wonderful things. Why would you be mean?
Yeah, I honestly think it's a cultural thing. Every brown person I've met has encouraged me, has offered advice, has, shared resources with me. I think because we know the struggle. Really, the mean girl culture comes from predominantly Caucasian women.
Yeah.
Because they are, I want to say, I mean, and this is like history coming into play here, right? 1960s, Black people are trying to get integrated in the schools, and you would see these pictures of women just like spewing hate towards these people. But even then, it's like their male counterpart, didn't see them as equal, right? They had to fight hard to get a say in voting, and then half the pay. And so I think because, and this is just kind of me making like creating a narrative on their behalf. I think they've scratched and climbed their way to the top that I feel like they can't, there's no more room at the top
Yeah.
other than for them.
Ooh.
And so that
Ooh.
it could be like this scarcity mindset versus
Ooh.
for women of color. I think it's, we already struggle enough. And so it's like, and I've seen this over and over again. I may not have dinner for 5 people, but I will feed 5 people. Like, we will make it happen. And we're not gonna complain about it. We're not gonna we'll offer it with kindness and, you know, wholeheartedly be like, if you're hungry, please eat, right? We're not gonna be like, oh my God, we don't have enough, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
This is something that I really encounter in events. Is there is a thread that we're still following from like how our parents taught us, how our grandparents taught us, sometimes we don't have those things, and yet our culture have taught us about sharing and scarcity mindset, that actually, in fact, as much as like the current narrative is that brown people live in a scarcity mindset, is that scarcity mindset has been implanted in us, is how I feel, is that we actually culturally live in a lot of abundance, because I think that's how tacos were invented. We're like, you know what? We got food for 5, but we're going to feed 50. We're going to make us tacos. And I think it's a brilliant thing. It's like my favorite food, because to me, a taco is like a symbol of like, you can really make a little bit of food stretch and feed everybody. That magical tortilla that will like feed, and you can have 3 tacos and be full, or you can have this like huge pasta and like be full. And it's like, well, which one? So just going back to, you know, I know that we're still following the thread of like what people before us have like laid down. And I was talking to my 6-year-old son about this, because we actually witnessed, you know, like this scenario that you're talking about last night, this morning, just coming to the airport and just observing people. And I'm instilling in him to be observant of his surroundings, and people, you know, are expressing aggressiveness actually around him, and I'm helping him process it. And I was saying, you know, and actually along the lines of like racism was happening in front of my 6-year-old, and he's trying to process it. And he says, well, why did he do that? You know, it's like, yeah, he's asking why is that a thing? And then I had to say, how can I succinctly say this in public and like explain this to my 6-year-old? And I said, he happened to just learn segregation in his class. Okay, he goes to private school, so he gets this kind of education in kindergarten. And I said, remember, you just did that, you just learned that, and you learned about Black history and then like women's history, and then, you know. And he said, yeah, and you learned about segregation, yeah. And I'm like, you know how it led to racism, yeah. Or racism led to those things, yeah. And I said, well, it happened when maybe like, you know, we had the grandparents did that, and then they had kids, and then they taught their kids to be like that. And then those kids right now have their kids. And so those people are still alive. And he goes, oh. And I thought, how many people actually think about that? Like,
oh, I do all the time.
You
all the time.
Us 3, definitely.
Yeah, another fun fact about me, I love old people. I don't know why. I just love them. I cannot wait to get old, to like wear like a visor and my Keds and my khakis. I cannot wait. And I've
Keds.
And I've always wanted to go volunteer at a retirement home. But the one thing that stops me is racism. Because I feel like, you know, at their fragile age, there may not be cognitive about what's going on. And I've seen videos of like caretakers, people of color, being called really foul words while they're caring for them. They get spat on, they get hair pulled, and I'm like, I would go to jail. I'd have been like, Karen, you need to sit a little.
Reel it back in.
Susie, since you work with the elderly so much, I know you've told me a couple stories.
Yes, you just reminded me of one specific story of this woman that I was serving, and she had a bad reputation against Latinos.
Mm.
She grew up in Florida, that area. And so she's, grandma. So she remembered the influx of like, the Cuban coming in and all that stuff. And so there's like a whole lot of like change going on. And she felt like she was being pushed out of her home. And so there was a lot of that. And so I just, I would listen to her and I would just say, well, change is very, very hard, isn't it? I would talk to her with that. And so in my head, my view was a little opposite. I was like, here I am serving her, a Latina, doing her toes. And I hope that her experience with me, it changes her perspective towards, Latinos. So that's kind of how I'm like, in my way, I'm combating racism that way. If they have a good experience with me, then,
yeah,
do my job.
yeah. It is having a big heart, having patience.
Yes. But I hear what you say, because there's some
I'm right on that line of giving, the benefit of the doubt, but also like at a really old age, you should know better, right? Like I can't, there's this saying where it's like, I am who I am because my parents, and it's like, no, you are who you are because who you are. Like your parents can influence you, but at some point you're no longer with your parents.
That's right.
And you can't use as an excuse. So it's like you do the work to become the version that you want to become and stop blaming your parents. Or whatever happened in the past, right? It's like we all carry trauma. We all are traumatized one way or another. Like someone's trauma does not dismiss the trauma that I've experienced, and my trauma does not dismiss somebody else's trauma, whether it's big or small or little or big. That's their trauma. That's their experience of a trauma. And so it's just to me, I'm like at a big old age like that, you can't. Some people just are mean in their heart, and it's unfortunate. I
hear you.
Like my brother-in-law, he's white American, and he was saying, was actually this morning saying like, oh, I'm a boomer. And I said, ooh, you married a generation younger, because my sister's a Gen X, even though they're just 3 years apart, right? And so from a boomer mindset, he was talking about social media. For a little context, our nephew is in the room, and he's about to be 20. So he's Gen Z, right? And he says, I think like social media is really like what's, kind of isolating us. And, because people are just like in an echo chamber of their own thoughts, like they're just bringing like-minded people together. And I would combat that by saying, like, as a person that is between Gen X and millennial perspective, I would say that's what was happening in your little towns. Like where we were choosing to live, and gerrymandering, creating those political lines just so this exact number of voters are here and only this number of voters there. It's like social media didn't just create it. It's just reflecting what's been going on, like it still goes on about like where people choose to live, the communities they serve, and then bringing it to, the community that I am in with my son's school, because I chose to have my son go to a private school. And so you have, there are a lot of scholarships, and he's one of the recipients of a very generous scholarship at the school. And we just had like a gala, super fancy, 4 Seasons downtown. It just happened last Saturday. And, everybody's dressed to the nines, but you could see all of what we're talking about, all the things you're saying. Everything was just what was playing in my mind was just those scenes. And everybody's just trying to be out. Yeah, they're just being authentic in their truth, but it's all playing out. The classism, a little bit racist. To say that a little bit racist. There's just choices that are being made of who people talk to and who they don't. I made choices about who I was going to talk to. Did I talk to the brown parents? I certainly did. Because when we see each other, we're like, I clocked you. You're brown, I'm brown.
Yes.
We're in here. Yep. We're bringing that diversity into the school. And so like, it's still playing out. And then of course, like, these children are seeing it happen. Are you a mother, Edith? Or you ever plan to be a mother?
I have a dog, and that is the
so you
only
are a
baby.
mother.
The only baby I will have. Yes. Yeah.
Yet, even though you're not a parent, like Susie, is not a
It's
parent.
always somewhere around.
Oh yeah, you have Kitsali.
Uh-huh.
But they when you're out, you two are both public, right? Like, you have your brand out there, because of social media, you're all brand. And, certainly my son sees you ladies doing your thing, right? And you are still influencing the next generation, much to your point, Susie, is because you're doing what you're doing. It's actually, you are having a wider influence than you think. And hopefully, like, that's like really the goal of having these conversations, is that to just hear everything that you said, like to hear your journey, put big old spotlight on it, and say, like, we just exist. We just want you to hear what our experience is, and this is why we carry the weight that we do. And this is going a little backwards, but I feel like fun fact about me, I'm very intuitive, so Susie always goes along for the ride with me, but I always bring it back because I use my structure, and she loves to say things that we're grateful for. Yes. So because I feel like this was really natural, like it felt like I knew you wanted to share your story, and we really wanted to hear like where you're coming from. I think it's appropriate now to say, what are the 3 things you're grateful for in the moment? And we're gonna actually, if it's okay with you, Susie, I'm gonna start with Edith.
Yes.
Okay. So the 3 things that I'm grateful for anytime, any place, is having a healthy body, an able body, right? I think we take a lot of that for granted, but once, I don't know, you get a paper cut or you twist an ankle, you're like, you just realize like how important an able mobile body is. So I'm always grateful for a healthy, able body, a sound mind, that despite having a ton of like, I guess, noise coming at me at every direction, I still hold values that I was brought up with, and that's like being kindful, mindful, and respectful, but also not rolling over. So having a sound mind. And then I'm just grateful to have autonomy to do what I want to do. A lot of people, it could be scary. We kind of talked about change. Change could be really scary for a lot of people. But I'm the quite opposite when it comes to change. Like, I'm like, I welcome it. I think it's exciting. I love seeing progress. I love seeing things coming, things that we would never imagine someone else thought about. So I love having autonomy over like my life and being able to make crazy decisions, and really it only impacts me. And then so that's what I'm grateful for.
Those are beautiful things.
Wonderful.
Susie, what are you grateful for in the moment?
In the moment. Oh my goodness. So much.
I have to be specific with Susie, Edith, because Susie's like,
yes, I go
she's
in.
a very deep. She's a deep girl. She's deep.
Okay, let's see. So I'm thankful for time. I'm thankful.
I told you she's like all of it, the passage of it, the experience of it, the existence of it, the measure of it. See?
Yes. I'm thankful.
Susie lives in the big scope,
because I mean, we could talk about superficial things, but
no, we don't.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not you.
It's not me.
You're not superficial.
In there.
You deep girl.
I always talk about my my mama Luz. She would always talk about ¿Cómo estás después de bien? So that always stuck. Because we always say, "Oh, we're fine. I'm fine." But after that, tell me how you really feel. So,
Susie, that could be a name of a podcast in Espanol.
Oh, ¿cómo estás después de
like
bien?
Yes. Come on,
I like that.
I'm gonna write it down.
I like it. I write it down.
Okay, so 3 things I'm grateful for: time, humor, and good people.
Nice.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Can't live without laughter.
Yeah, even if you're having a bad time, humor is the best way to combat anything, depression, anger, something bad happened to you. It's just, what can you do? I mean, you could cry, which is wonderful, and you can cleanse, and that's great. But sometimes laughing is just like, you know what? Just take it, and good people, and this, especially how we talked about earlier, this world is just full of evil, negative people. And when there's good people around, you got to hold on to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You need good people to be good people.
Yes.
Put it on a t-shirt.
But yes. How about you, Jacqui?
Me. I'm grateful for loyalty, and to take onto Susie's deepness, but loyalty was coming up a lot. Like you mentioned earlier, like, oh, I got a haircut. I didn't get bangs to hide my, but maybe I'm choosing to hide my my eyebrows moving, because I do have a really deep line that I am working with here. I'm like, this crevasse of judgment is this, like,
oh, I see.
Look at that thing. That is what? Okay. But what I'm grateful for is the loyalty, because I'm loyal to my stylist, and my stylist has been really loyal to me, and the way that she just treats me as a customer, like I'm an OG, I'm an original customer, and she really like reflects that in her pricing and her time and her care with me. And I reflect that in the way that I tip, because I'm like, girl, you gave me a discount, but that means I'm going to add it in the tip because you're worth it. And I just love like that friendship. So that was been on my mind, because she took care of me, and I was also loyal to just like my, kind of unintended harebrained ideas. Because when I was saying like this haircut, I was like, I want to be like art curator, like version of Jacqui now. A couple years ago, it was like, I want to be the Filipino Elvis. And like I had a short black, anyways, just someone to go with you to the harebrained ideas. Which also is like Susie, because it's kind of inherent. I have to give gratitude to, our deep relationship, Susie, because we go through each other's harebrained ideas.
Yes.
And we have that loyalty, which I'm very, very grateful for. Hence why we're sitting here.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful for my husband, who is thriving. Now that he took over the business, like fully. So mobile entertainment, Edith, right? Like Wes and I were splitting it this whole time. I go into surgery. I'm in recovery. I'm a stay-at-home mom now, and my husband's thriving. And it's really interesting to me because, like, he really hated that bro culture too. It exists in like entertainment. It exists in every industry because it's a generational thing. And he actually hates it too because he was raised by women, and so he has just like a different approach. But then me, I kind of overcompensated being in my generation of being too masculine, and I was always kind of throwing out my ideas and like I'm like, oh, we're gonna do it like this, and like this is the direction we're going. And he liked that, but also now that he has space to make that be autonomous in some ways, where I'm more of a consultant, he's really thriving. So I must say, I'm very proud of Wesley. And he's thriving in his business. I said, that's it. You've done everything. You've built the structure. You've like built your system. You've uncovered your like core beliefs, which are in line with my core beliefs, just as a person that I bring into Jack's Network and Guardian of the Light. Just having like the mindset to do things, being really careful about who you include in your community. Having the consistency, like that man will read the instructions. You know what I mean? Like, you ever have somebody read the instructions? I don't do that. I don't. I just do it.
Like the little the contracts and the little like.
No, I'm talking about like
like how to build it books.
Oh, that
he will read it. Like there just happens to be one next to me, but I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, we're just gonna go with how we feel.
How we feel. I know what it looks like.
Go off the image.
And yes, and he will read the instructions. Even this is the part. Even if he has built it before, what?
He just wants to
That's
make
a
sure he has
that's
it
a
right.
different kind of
Yeah.
that's a different kind of strength. And like actually, when it comes to contracts, and when it comes to negotiations, and it comes to inventory, and it comes to scaling, those are things that are really important. There needs to be somebody that like does that and enjoys it. Like, you know, like having a lawyer, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to read the fine print. I want you to do it. So you have your lawyer read it, which is like really powerful. And then the third thing is also like, just like emphasizing consistency, because Edith, when you watch back this is our third season that's going to be released, and you're going to be part of the fourth season. We have mentioned you probably every episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can go back and watch it.
I
Count
was
how
like,
many times we said your name.
we're like, oh, and then Edith, Copa de Oro. Oh, now she's girl, we've been manifesting you up in here.
Well, I'm happy to be here. This is exciting.
So so you're gonna be a part of like the fourth season. We'll have like we're testing out like the live version of actually sitting with our guests, doing it back to back, having an audience, to be more sustainable, because Susie and I are busy people too. And we feel you, right? We're with you. We do work of different people. So hopefully you can join us like next time as we like just grow our Celebrating Brown Queen community and make this space. And
I invited her to the WhatsApp to be part of the community. So
awesome.
But
and thank you for bringing that up, because we do have like the questions that like Susie put together, and this is like a way to like do a quick commercial. So do Susie, you want to ask those questions? And then
yes, actually you put this together, but let's see. Okay.
Oh, I did?
You did.
I'm also selective because you've been doing all the documents and like the
Okay, so let me see. Okay, so who do you serve and how do you help them?
Yes. So Copa Fruits serves healthy, conscious individuals, families, community members seeking fresh, convenient, and nutritious food options. We help them by providing handcrafted seasonal fruit-based products like cold pressed juices, immunity shots, the freezer pops. I'm really working on rolling out some like freeze-dried fruit so people can enjoy it in their granola or just like as a snack on the go.
Can I just say?
Yes.
I actually manifested you, which is so I've always wanted to wanted to start my own like health journey and like be holistic and all the things. And I was like, but I wanted to be like a Latina, to do like, because we're always talking about like a lot of the foods that we have are like chamoy and all the things, which is wonderful. It's great. But I'm trying to not have diabetes.
Oh.
And so, let me see someone who does fresh fruit with not a lot of like that sugars and the extra stuff. And then I met you.
That's what we talk about you all the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So all my stuff is made with real local ingredients. That's another thing that I really want to highlight, is working with local farmers and really kind of keeping our money in our local community. So it kind of, recycles in our space, in our county. And a lot of I want to say like 80%, 90% of the things that I offer are naturally sweetened. So there's no added sugar. There are some things like I have a classic lemonade that has honey that I'll put in it. And it's local honey as well. But yeah, I just, I want to make sure that healthy eating is more accessible, and while supporting farmers and promoting wellness at events. Like I've been to festivals and I've done pop-ups, and my very first year I felt very defeated because it was, generating awareness and kind of fumbling through the first couple of months of like, transitioning from corporate and having a steady paycheck and having, a budget set for the year, right? That is specific for, oh my God, so I was in marketing, right? So that was
Mhm.
like, I had a budget designated just for marketing.
Mhm.
And so my boss is like, you're the manager. If, you know, you can buy whatever you want as long as it's below like the certain amount. If it's above this, then, you know, let me know about it. Right. So I was kind of
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I just am an adult with a credit card, and having none of that available as a business owner was like, oh my God, what did I do? Because, you know, you just, I got really comfortable with just money being like this invisible thing that was always available.
Mhm.
And it wasn't coming out of my pocket, but now it is. And so I had to
Yes.
like,
Gotta count the
You
pennies.
you feel it. It is a real
yeah,
tangible thing. People say money isn't tangible. I'm like, unless you're the one unless it's yours and you feel every bit
yeah.
of it.
You're
Mhm.
like, unless I have it unlimited amount, sure, it's whatever, but I
Mhm.
don't. So
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
when I get a quote, I shop around, right? Because I'm like, I want to make sure that my money is going to the right space. Every penny
Mhm.
is being counted. So
Yeah. That
but
goes to the health and wealth, right? So you
yes,
have to take care of your health, but you also have to take care of your wealth. So it's all encompassing, right? You
yes,
want your
yeah.
legacy and all that.
Yeah, but it was really cool being in these spaces like pop-ups and festivals and stuff like that, and feeling defeated.
Mhm.
And it was just like perfect timing. A customer would walk up and they would say, I'm so glad you're here because we need healthy options, right? And you know, I would always be right next to the lady frying everything in like butter, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
do you want fried butter? And it's like, what? Do you want fried pancakes? Do you want fried Twinkie? Do you want a fried, and people are like,
Wow.
we love to treat ourselves, right? There's nothing wrong with
No.
it.
Yes.
But people
But
are
it's the
like,
overconsumption of it,
yeah.
right?
And
There's no
so,
balance. There's no
Yes.
balance with it.
so people
Which
would come to my booth and they're like, we're so glad you're here. And
Yes.
so
mhm.
that gave me the push and that I needed, because it's so hard to like see all your hard work
Mhm.
not being I guess embraced the way you would want
Mhm.
it. It's like my
Or
business
like,
is my baby.
yeah,
So
like, or understood the way you understand it. And it's
yeah.
like, and that's marketing, right? It's like translating and also like choosing, because a large part of like what got us here into this entrepreneurial journey is not always for the public. And
Mhm.
like maybe like later on, like they can go deeper into like why you made these decisions, but
Mhm.
people can only consume like so much. They can take this much of information from you, and then you gotta like hit them in the head. Which, by the way, this is not one of the questions, but I gotta say, when did you know you were so funny?
Oh, that-
Me?
When did you know you were so funny? Because that's why we talk about you, because like, did you see Edith's new
With your
video?
hands, please.
I am a really funny person. Like Susie, I love comedy. I love watching stand-up comedy. If this doesn't work out, you'll find me at a local comedy club.
Oh, I love it.
Listen,
I will do stand-up. But I've always been like, I have friends who are in comedy and they've come and to visit, and a ton of us will get together and they expect the actual comedian to be making jokes, because it's just kind of like having someone, it's like, oh, that's a chef, so only the chef can do that, right? But it's like, I would be with my friends and they're like, you are so, because I'll just say off the cuff things that
yes, you do.
don't expect other people to say, and people are like,
You're
oh my,
very authentic. You're
thank you.
very authentic. Like, yes.
Thanks.
And so you showing up, I know you got you alluded to in your video, like you like hit a challenge and like posting on social media. Like, I feel like after seeing you and knowing you for a year long, it's like you nailed your authenticity.
Mhm.
It's
Thanks.
almost as if like how it reads to us, like what we talked about is like, oh, I'm just gonna be me. Like I'm just gonna say how I want. And Susie, do you want to talk to her about your gift?
My gift. Oh, this one.
No, her nails.
Oh,
Oh,
your sticky nails. Yes, I actually want to gift you some press-ons because you've inspired me, and so I'm gonna send you something. Yeah, you're always with your nails, your sticky
You're like,
nails.
you need to. So I actually wanted to like partner with a nail polish company or something where it's like Copa Fruits, and it would be like colorful, like
I'm
lime
looking for
green or cherry red or mango, and it's like a little set of 3 or something. It was like limited edition, like
Yeah.
I don't know, something fun.
Let's
But
talk.
yes, the nails.
And then here's the irony is you're gonna be like needing those influencers to like
Yeah.
Copa nail collab. Oh my god, you're so funny. Keep doing it. You're so funny.
Oh my
I think
God.
there's another question.
There's another question.
Oh yes.
It's what titles do you hold in your business only?
Yes.
I am the boss. I am the
For all of it,
BOSS.
right?
yeah, I'm the owner, I'm the boss, I'm the operator. Yeah.
Visionary marketing.
Yeah,
Yes.
marketing, accountant. I'm everything.
Everything. Yeah. Okay. And then what's one problem in your business that you are solving with your wisdom and experience? I think we've already kind of talked about it, but
We covered that.
yes.
So a little bit, but here's what I'm doing. So I'm coming up on year 2 in July. That'll be 2 full years. What I'm learning, right, as a new person in this space is, I don't know if you guys saw my social media post about like lowering the booth fees, the booth stall fees.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person that if I see someone getting bullied, I want to speak up about it. If I see something being done, people being taken advantage, I will step in and I will make people uncomfortable because I'm like, someone needs to shine a light on this, but no one's brave enough to do it. And it always has to be me. And it sucks because I'm like, I'm tired of being the brown person stirring the Kool-Aid, right? People are just tired. They're like, she's aggressive. She's, you know, it's like, no, you guys are just not doing it. And someone needs to do it. So anyway, the booth. So I'm learning, right? And I am going out of my way and I'm talking to people who have been in this industry, who have been in the game for longer than I have, right? 5-10 years. And I'm like, am I out of line to bring this up? Because, you know, I'm looking at my numbers and I'm shocked at how anyone's even like navigating being a business owner right now. The cost of goods have gone up. Insurance has gone up.
Yeah.
Permits have gone up. You know, just everything has gone up. And so in addition to that, so booth fees. So here's what it looks like behind the curtains, right? Like you go to a festival, let's say like the Bite of Seattle, and you're like, oh, this is fun. You know, all you see is the price of a plate, right? Let's say you're getting like a bowl of noodles and you're like, it's $25. Like, why am I paying $25? This is insane.
Yeah.
But you're hungry and you're gonna pay that $25 and then you pay it and then you eat it and you're like, this is the worst bowl of noodles I've ever spent $25 on. So here's a reason why. So at like the Bite of Seattle, a 10 by 10 booth is about, it's in the thousands of dollars. So the vendors, depending on what they're buying and then how much real estate they're taking, they're getting charged thousands of dollars. So that's just the booth fee. And then there's an application fee. So you have to, it's like renting an apartment. Like you have to submit an application, no guarantee they're going to get it. They're just going to take your money. And then in addition to that, for example, Bite of Seattle, they make every single vendor there use their point of sale system. So you can't use your own because they want to track how much you're making a day. And then at the end, when everything is said and done, they're going to take 15% of your gross revenue from your point of sale system. So they also don't allow businesses. That one, Bite of Seattle has gotten out of control. They don't allow businesses to take cash. Because businesses are gonna rightfully so not want to pay 15% off what they're making. And so they actually have people walking around watching to make sure that no one's taking cash. So it is insane. It's out of control. So I went out of my way to talk to other businesses because I'm like, am I being dramatic here? Or am I just being a big baby? Like, I just don't understand how this is okay. And a lot of vendors are like, definitely not okay. This is, you know, it's just insane. Some businesses have gone they shut down because they've spent all their money on like, you know,
marketing
or on their supplies, on their cost of goods. And for example, let's say you know, the Puyallup Fair, it's $6,000 for a 10 by 10 booth. So for 30 days, right? And so if you don't make $6,000 within the time frame, you're at a loss, right?
Of
And but
course.
now
Of course.
imagine someone who
Wow.
is buying like protein and you know, highly perishable goods that you can't, you know, put away in a box and then pull it out for another day.
Mm.
And then you have your staff and you have to use a commercial kitchen and you have to use, you know, it's just like, it's like you're at least, I don't know, $8,000 to $10,000 in the hole before you're even making money. So that's why they're charging you $25 for a bowl of basic noodles
Mm-hmm.
when you can go to your local shop and get like really authentic stuff for $15, you know.
That
So
part.
that's what I'm learning, and I'm trying to shine light on that.
What
And
can we do to move that along so they can change? What?
spread the word. So I
Yeah.
actually had an interview with Seattle Times.
Mhm.
This is something that I brought up. I sent it to Tipline, I don't know, like in November, December last year, and I didn't hear back for a while. And then, you know, I talked to my vendor friends, collected their info if they wanted to interview with them as well. But she ended up just talking to me, and I was like, I can't really speak to this. This is because I'm choosing not to be part of this being taken advantage like that. And also, like, I don't have the capital to spend, you know, $1,800 on an event that there, when you're an outside booth, an outdoor vendor, there's so many variables that can make or break your event. If there's construction around the area, people are going to avoid it. If there's another event that was more successfully marketed, they're going to go over there. If there is, you know, paid parking, people are going to want to avoid it. If you have to pay to get in, people are like, I don't want to spend on that, right? If it rains, people don't show up. If it's too hot, people don't show up. So it's just like all these variables that affect the success of these vendors that are out there. And I'm just not willing to risk my business and the quality of my goods for marketing purposes. You know, people are like, oh, you know, I did that, but it was just to get my name out there. But if I did that, I would have to make like hundreds of thousands of gallons of cold pressed juice. And it already takes me a lot of work and effort to make what I make for a farmer's market. And what I've had at these events is watered down, not seasoned. It's just really poor. And I just would not want anyone to look at my business and they're like, oh, I thought this was going to be really good for the price and it was garbage and I never ever want to go to her again, right? Because we live in a world where reviews are like a big thing. So, you know, if some influencer is like, oh, I had her cold pressed juice and it was garbage and I had it at this bite of Seattle and I paid, you know, $20 for 15 ounces and it was just the worst.
Oh, you just froze.
Oh no.
And I'd rather not risk the reputation of my business. So I just stay with local small businesses. But if the article comes out, it would be really nice if you guys could share it with your community, share it with your friends, generate awareness around, you know, this is what our local food vendors are struggling. So we're getting squeezed in every direction. Like we pay local, state, federal taxes, we pay permits, we pay, you know, the 10 to 15% off our gross when it's like we're barely making that. We have to follow a specific protocol for us to even be there. Otherwise, the health department shuts us down, you know, and then if things go sideways, no one's paying us to recoup that. It's just out of luck, you know. So yeah, that's the problem that I'm seeing in the business.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And that's actually really crazy because in the wedding industry, that's about like a $10,000 is about the price of a booth. But you know, like our cost of like packages, you know, the return of the ROI on that, you know, it can turn over pretty quickly. And I always wondered about that. And I just want you to know that the reason why, even it's outside of my purview, why I share pop-up opportunities is because I do want to share the ones that are like, you know, medium cost. And then when I do host pop-ups, like the last one I was able to host was during Seattle Pride drag brunch, because I hosted that with Seattle Pride, is to just to just pay above the profit. So the model there that I've been playing with, and I've talked to, you know, some clients about, is have the vendors come, establish their profit line, and then when they surpass that, they have, because Seattle Pride is a nonprofit, they have an option to, like, you know, donate, you know, basically to that, because then it's like a potential tax write-off for that business, right? So that you can still be there, because what I never really understood is that if you already have the space, and the space is paired for like other things, you know, the big things, it's like if you have a bar, the bar is paying for your venue, right? There's going to be a bar. It could be a boba bar, it could be a kombucha bar, it could be like an alcohol bar. But that bar is those drinks are gonna sell, because people, like, if they're not gonna buy $25 noodles, they are gonna spend that $7 on that matcha over and over again, and they really pay for it. So why not have, like, the heavy hitters cover the cost, and then everyone else that's being showcased at that pop-up or that event, you know, actually do it on a profit first basis, where every vendor can, like, establish the profit line and then pay from their profit their chosen, like, their contracted, like, obligation. And instead of, like, doing, like, this swath of, you know, like,
Fees.
you know, why would you pay $10,000, $6,000, $10,000 if your product is like $8 to $25, you know, dollars? You would have to oversell for like weeks to, like, you know, like, to make that, you know, kind of artisanal product. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, like, petitions, like signing it, making awareness, and, you know, having this conversation here for sure. I just want to be respectful of your time, because we did say like an hour, but I think that was there another question, Susie, on
last one is, what's one problem you immediately need help with to grow your business?
It's always going to be funding.
Yeah.
It's always
show me the money. Yes.
Yeah, I've applied to several grants. I truly believe in manifestation, right? It's like when you're positively thinking about something, you're gonna get it. And I feel like I'm a little overly confident in that area, where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this video for this grant, and I'm gonna make, you know, I'm gonna win that $100,000, right? So I make it, boom, boom, bang, right? Great, got great views, comments, whatever, made people laugh, and then I don't win it, and I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, but it's always gonna be funding. It's always gonna be funding. Yeah.
I will say, there's another community group on WhatsApp that I don't know if you got that one from Guardian of the Light services,
where I'm sharing opportunities too for, like, those. There are far and few in between, but when a lot of the referrals I send come from other people that are like, people need to know about this. Just like Noemi Tagatin Porter, the founder of CJK Community Homes that funded the finance cohort. It's so word of mouth. It's like, in the Brown community, it is a text. It is saying, I sat in this meeting, and then I get a text or a screenshot, and it's like, okay, where's the QR code? Where's the link? And, like, so what I'm trying to do is, as it passes through Guardian of the Light, is that I actually go to the link, read it, and go, okay, this is actually going to work for somebody, you know, that can actually, because a lot of it is like, if you don't have a brick and mortar, if you don't have, like, your systems in place,
there's a lot of requirements. Yeah,
they want to see your accounting, and it's like, then there are those little tiny ones that are $1,000 or $5,000, which spends very quickly, especially when you're, I mean, just like getting produce, you know, out there, that spends really quickly. So the other input is like the Washington Department of Commerce. They always do have like a survey where, you know, so I've been advocating for getting actually more for like the micro entrepreneurs, to get like specific funding, because when the finance cohort got it, it went into like financial literacy, right? But there was like a line by line of like every category, like, you know, like mental health or women's safety. And I've been advocating for carving out a specific space for micro entrepreneurs, because in the founder world, like, I don't know if you came from like the tech side in your corporate experience, but like in the founder world in tech, like, they understand this. you know, so then these VCs are looking at pre-seed founders to get them started, because they know like you're not going to be able to make it to round one in your funding if you don't if you don't actually look at pre-seed, like before you developed anything, before you have a system, just on your idea, just on your concept, just on your mission, like that there are people that are interested in that. And so Susie and I support like Filipino founders, and it was inspired by a Black founder group that said, let's just invite like, you know, like Black founders and see. And we know that there's like Latino founders that have started their group, and there's like, veterans founders and etc. These like subgroups that are happening. So always happy to, you know, there's also so much attention that I can give from like, I wish I could scale my attention then I can actually share more. But certainly when those opportunities do come up, like for the Filipino founders, is, you know, just come to the event. It sounds maybe like silly and it's taking your time, it's the middle of your day, and it's when you have dinner. But then when you go to these events, you actually meet the people that are like ready to invest and ready to like give you that high level like advice, you know, that this is like their daily, like this is what they do.
You can practice your pitch, and then they, you know, it's a lot of back and forth. So that's good. So then you can qualify, you know, for your next, you know, grant that you know.
Yes, because like I don't know if you know the brand Moto Pizza, MOTO.
No.
Pizza. Is that familiar to you? So it's a pizza that is a deep dish.
Okay.
But Lee Kindle's story is like amazing. I won't go into here. I could just share you a link if you wanted to read it. Or you could look up Moto Pizza. Lee Kindle, the founder, shares a lot about his journey on there. But I will tell you this, that he started a pizza business, and he scaled his business like internationally over the last like 5 years, like nobody's business, because somebody gave him the advice about pitching to the vision and actually integrating tech. And so he talks about that, like, you know, he talks about AI and he talks about robotics. And so there's a robot that's making pizza for you. But he said, but I'm not replacing people. I'm actually giving them more, because that robot's going to be more efficient. And I can employ more people and employ people more sustainably. So he's like, I mean, he's a hurricane. Like, I mean, the amount of energy that this man has, but it's a testament to something that, you know, kind of so common, like the pizza, you know, that everyone eats and has like 1,000 different versions. Like, but what's the difference here? And he, to me, is like an epitome of like how you really bring it all together. But he started in a little house with an article, and of course he had a really great recipe, but he manifested someone to come into his store to just tell him like, how do I get into the stadium? He's like, how do I get into the stadium? And then that customer walked in, and then this journey continued. So
Awesome.
you know, I will say from like what he said, just like throwing it to energy towards you, Edith, is you're doing all the things. It's about consistency at this point. It's about that you don't know where that abundance is going to come from, because it's not going to be where you expect it. You might be doing the grant work and you're thinking, yeah, I'm a manifest this from this grant. And you're like, what the heck? It isn't this grant, because it's actually going to come from somewhere else.
Right.
And
every grant I have not won, I'm like, okay, something bigger and better is coming my way.
For sure.
Gotta stay positive.
That's the only way you'll survive.
Yeah.
That's the only way you'll survive. I think that's the only way that you go past like the 2 years. You know, like I tell Susie, like from what I've seen, you need at least 5 years to get comfortable, and then 10 years to go, okay, I did it.
We have to have the audacity.
The audacity.
Yes.
And that's you. Right. You're the embodiment of audacity, Edith.
Yes.
Thanks. I try to. There was a social media post that I saw, I'm sure you have seen it, where it's like, be as confident as a white man with a big beer belly and a crop top.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that's something that always plays in my mind, that I'm like, yeah, I will be confident. I may not have my shit together right now, but I'm working on it, and it's probably way better than that guy's over there.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
The reward is in the, is getting it out there, is in
Yeah.
manifesting.
Yeah.
Also, a fun thing I just want to say, because Susie and I talk about human design. Do you know what human design is?
I want to say yes, but at the top of mind does not come anything.
So there's archetypes. So it's like manifestor, generator,
Oh,
reflector,
yeah. Okay.
projector. And so Susan and I were talking about it, and I did find one that's like a totally free test or whatever. I would just be so curious because I have my guess, and I can hold my guess until you take the test. And
Okay.
because I'm just curious. But for when you take the test, just for context, I'm a generator.
Okay.
And Susie
I'm a
Susie
projector.
she's a projector.
Wait, what is it called? What is this test called? Human design?
Human design.
.com.
Yeah, I'm going to actually, where's that link? I found, because there's so many like links
There
out there,
is
and I
a
was
lot.
like,
Yes.
I don't want all these like the other creators like make, just like the Buy to Seattle thing is like so much paywall, and it's like, just give it away for free. Like AI is gonna give it away for free anyway. Just get with it. You selfish human, and then do the things that like only human can do. You know?
Yes.
So with that being said, Susie, any more questions or any more?
No, I am looking for the human design. I'm gonna send it to Edith. It's called
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Human Design.
It's called what?
My Human Design.
Oh, My Human Design. Okay.
Oh, you're looking for it? Yes. It should be free. So if you have to pay, don't pay.
Okay. My Human Design.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I will let you know once I'm taking this.
Awesome.
To let you know.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, so good seeing you guys.
So good seeing you.
Yes.
We're always cheering you on and sharing, spreading the good news.
Thank you.
And keep doing the hard work that you're doing. It goes unnoticed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm also cheering you guys on from afar. I feel like every time you guys have something going on, I'm like, oh, I'm prepping for another, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And I'm like,
because you're in that stage. Yeah. Because you're in that stage. Like, I want to say that we always want to extend the invitation because we want you to know that you're welcome, but we totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, you're on the building stage. So for sure.
Thank you.
We'll keep inviting.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care. See you later.
Bye.
Well, then let me.
What happened?